Hello, and welcome to the Knox County Public Library's Tutor Team. My name is Mr. Frederick, and today I will be tutoring 4th and 5th grade English Language Arts. Our topic today is drawing conclusions, which is also known as making inferences. For our standards today, we are going to be talking about, for 4th grade, referring to details and examples in a text when explaining what a text says explicitly and when drawing inferences from the text. For 5th grade, we're going to be talking about quoting accurately from a text when explaining what a text says explicitly and when drawing inferences from the text. You'll notice these are very similar. They just expect a little bit farther from 5th grade. When you're talking about referring to details and examples in a text and when quoting accurately, it's just how you're going to answer the question. For 5th grade, they're going to expect you to use a little bit more of the direct sentence from the story to back up what you're saying. Explicitly means it's actually found in the story, that it's right there, you can pull it from the story. When you're making an inference or drawing conclusions, those aren't really in the story. You have to kind of come up with your own answer. So now you may be wondering, what does it actually mean to draw conclusions? Well, a conclusion is a reasonable decision you make after you think about the facts or details you read. Drawing conclusions may also be called making inferences. Like I said before, when your teacher's talking about this, you may actually hear them using these interchangeably. They are basically the same thing. You can also use your prior knowledge to help you draw conclusions. Prior knowledge is basically your background knowledge. It's what they also call your schema. That means if you're studying about dinosaurs and you know some things because you've seen it on TV or you've read it in a book, or maybe you've even played a video game that had some information on it, those are your background knowledge, the things you already know about the topic because you've seen it or you read it or you've heard about it somewhere else. Today, we're also going to be talking about the steps of this graphic organizer that could also help you draw a conclusion or make an inference. Notice that they use 2 facts or details from the story and then prior knowledge, what they already know, to help draw a conclusion or make an inference. So let's practice a little bit. Here is our story for the short story for the week, the history of gymnastics. Early Greek teachers were the first to teach gymnastics both for athletes and for everyone else. More than 3,000 years ago, every Greek student would train in gymnastics. People thought that exercise taught the body and mind to work together. So look at our skill. What conclusion can you make or draw about how Greeks thought about themselves and their bodies? So the first step is to go back and find 2 pieces of evidence or facts from the story. I can see that one fact is that all students were taught gymnastics. I can also see that another one would be that people thought that the exercise taught the body and mind to work together. Now, I have a little bit of background knowledge from health class and going to the doctor and things like that tells me that exercise is important to keep your body in shape and to keep you healthy. So I can make the conclusion that to the ancient Greeks, gymnastics and exercise were very important to keep everyone in shape and keep everyone healthy. So it must have been very important to them. Moving on. The Greeks taught 3 different kinds of gymnastics. One kind helped people stay strong and in good shape. Another helped people become strong and fit for sports. And a third was used to train men for military service. Roman soldiers would also train in gymnastics. Now we're going to talk about a strategy. And a strategy is just a tool to help us figure out some things. How do the details in this paragraph help you visualize the information being presented? Now, visualize means painting that picture in your head. So if you're reading it or someone's reading a story to you and you close your eyes, you can see those characters, you can see what's happening. You can just have that, use your imagination and have that in your head. So when I look at that second paragraph, what do you visualize? I see lots of people exercising. I see lots of healthy people. I just see a place where everyone's healthy and working out and you involved in some kind of sport. So let's move on. Over time, people in Europe began to learn and enjoy gymnastics. During the 1970s, people all over the world watched the gymnasts at the Olympics. At first, Americans did not enjoy gymnastics as much as the Europeans. They liked watching games instead, such as basketball or baseball. However, beginning in the 1970s, gymnastics became popular in the United States as well. Now we're going to draw another conclusion or make another inference. It says, why do you think gymnastics started to become more popular during the 1970s? Well, if I go back to the third paragraph, I see 1970s right here. That's probably a pretty big clue. What happened during the 1970s? It says during the 1970s, people all over the world watched the gymnasts at the Olympics. Now, I know from my prior knowledge that every 2 or 4 years, the Olympics are going to be on TV. And it's something that I usually end up watching. And I know a lot of other people do too. So I'm going to make the conclusion that the Olympics are probably what became so popular in America and got people involved in gymnastics and got them to watch it on TV as well. So, using this story, we're going to answer a quick question. Why would they choose a girl doing a cartwheel as the visual for this article? It doesn't say this in the story. We have to make our own conclusion and inference about this. So if I look at the picture up here, we have a girl in an outfit doing a cartwheel at the top of the page. Now, why would they do that? Why would they put that in there? Now, if we go back to that graphic organizer at the beginning, we're going to find 2 facts or details from the story. We're going to use some of our background knowledge, and then we're going to come up with a conclusion. So, fact number 1. The article is about gymnastics, and a cartwheel is a gymnastic move, which is correct. They could have shown someone doing a flip or doing the balance beam or something like that as well. Fact number 2. The picture shows the clothing that is worn for gymnastics. A lot of people see those outfits, and that kind of sparks that image in their head of what gymnastics is. You may not know what it was called, but if you saw the outfit, you would say, oh, I know what that is now. And then using our background knowledge, when I think of gymnastics, I think of flexibility, exercise, and flips. Jumping off the balance beam, doing the vault, working on the floor exercises where they're doing flips and turns. I just see movement and flips everywhere. So, what conclusion can we make about why they put that picture on the front? Well, the author chose the picture of a girl doing a cartwheel because it helps us visualize, there's that word again, the topic, and it also allows the reader to get a better understanding of what gymnastics entails. When you see that girl doing the cartwheel, you understand that, oh, gymnastics is when you're doing flips. And now we're going to move on to another activity. This activity is about a stolen mascot, and we're going to have to use some clues and make an inference or draw a conclusion about who we think stole the mascot. Snout went missing from the Sunnybrook Fieldhouse on Wednesday afternoon while the team was practicing. Practices usually run from 2:30 to 5 p.m. When the team came back to change and leave, they found a large ham sitting on Snout's bed. On it was a note that said, Raiders eat ham for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Someone said they saw a person wearing a blue jacket with fancy gold buttons leaving the field house. They thought it was strange because the jacket almost looked like a military uniform. So, the situation. The Brookhaven Boars were all ready for the big game against Randall High until their pot-bellied pig Snout was stolen. Now they need to find their mascot before kickoff in 2 days. I just gave you the information. We know that they have practice from 2 to 5, so it had to happen in that time frame. Let's look at our first suspect, Miguel. Miguel's the starting quarterback for the Randall Raiders, and he has a history of pulling pranks. Last year, he snuck into the school to hang a large Randall Raiders sign in the gym before the big pep rally. The team really wants to win this game and has been practicing an hour later than usual this week, meaning he gets home around 6. Miguel also has a blue Letterman jacket. So let's look at some clues here. We know he was at football practice until 6 o'clock, which puts him... I don't know if that's going to be enough time to be able to do to steal the pig. We know, though, he has a history of pulling pranks, so that tells me he could be a good suspect. He has a blue Letterman jacket, though, which really doesn't necessarily look like a uniform. So I'm not so sure that Miguel is our person, but I'm not really ready to count him out yet. Our next person is Amber. Amber is head cheerleader and has 2 times more school spirit than anyone else at Randall High. She lives for football season and gets very upset after losses. Her squad has been busy getting ready for the big pep rally. They're learning a new dance routine and want it to be perfect. She left school around 4:30 on Wednesday so she could make it to work by 5. She was already in her uniform, a white shirt and black pants. Okay, let's look at the clues here. We know she's very competitive and she's a cheerleader, but we also know she left school at 4:30 and had to be at work by 5. So that doesn't give her a lot of time. And she was already in her uniform, which is a white shirt and black pants. To me, that kind of rules her out because of what we know. She doesn't really fit the suspect or have the time to have stolen our snout. Let's look at our next one, Stephanie. Not only is Stephanie the senior class president, but she is also very involved in 4-H and plays trumpet for the Marching Raiders. Both bands are extremely competitive, and the halftime shows are almost as fun as the game. The band practices from 5 to 9, and when it's not quiet as outside, Stephanie had to get there about 30 minutes early so someone could fix her uniform jacket. So let's see what we need to figure out here. Well, we know she's a senior class president. We know she's involved with 4-H, which is animals. We know she's in band. And what do we know about band uniforms? That's a good clue. I think she could be a good suspect too. Next, we have Coach Jackson. This is Coach Jackson's first year at Randall, but he has jumped in with both feet. He even bought a blue car to show his school spirit. Coach teaches driver's education in the afternoons before football practice begins. He's on the field ready to go by 2 o'clock. His motto is, if you're on time, you're late, and has been known to make kids run laps for being even 1 minute late. Coach is always hot, so he wears polo shirts and lightweight khakis every day. Well, we know our suspect had kind of a uniform on, so lightweight khakis and a polo really doesn't kind of fit that. We also know he's ready to go by 2 o'clock, and that's when practice started. So I'm not sure he's a good suspect. So to me, it goes down to Stephanie and Miguel. But Miguel also had practice till 6 o'clock, so I'm not sure he had time. So who do we think our culprit really is? Who stole Snout the pig? The answer is Stephanie. Stephanie actually takes an afternoon class at the college just down the road from Brookhaven. She knew the pig would be there after hearing about it from a 4-H friend. It would have been the perfect prank if she hadn't had to bring her uniform coat with her that day. Of course, she could have left it in the car, but she was cold and didn't think to take it off before stealing the pig. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you will tune in again. You can watch this Tutor Team video again, as well as other videos by searching YouTube for KCPL Tutor Team or by clicking. I hope you learned a lot about inferencing today, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.